is day 850, Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. The donor has sponsored a week of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi for his chutz for shidduch. May the shidduch be oileh, yofeh, matzliach, and may be in ve'agefen, dover, noel, miskabel. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is supposed to have been from Tavkov Mem Hey Yud Ches to Tavkov Mem Vav Hey. But for some reason yesterday, maybe because I was falling asleep, I stopped after Sif Tes Zion, and therefore today we have to start from Yud Zion. So we're going to go from Tavkov Mem Hey Yud Zion to Tavkov Mem Vav Sif Hey. Okay. Yud Zion. Okas Ab Sif Vav. The Mutar Tov Shtar Mechir B'Moed. Are you allowed to write a bill of sale on your Moed? Aval Ein Tov Shtar Risus V'Kablanos Shekib B'Kol Moed Beinal. Should not write a star for sharecropping or contracting if it was already accepted before Chol Moed. Akan Lashon. Really, Hachi Perusho explains Arukh HaShulchan. The Shtar Mechir Yachol Lios B'Moed. A bill of sale you can write on Chol Moed. Stam Shtar Mechira Bati V'Karkos. Usually, a bill of sale is on houses and lands. You can sell Chol Moed when it's for the purpose of Chol Moed. Much Goslam Lasim Tov Lametes. Therefore, you can also write the bill of sale. One of them does not want to complete the transaction without a bill of sale. But sharecropping agreements and contracting agreements. It's about malacha, not about possession and ownership, but contracting work. That's definitely also moed. The aim is that it's not required for chol nobody should be in the work, and nobody should be benefiting from the work. The aim is to come vuan, obviously, but keep chol moed, and they must have accepted before chol moed. L'chein asur l'chtov moed. Therefore, you can't do it on. Therefore, you can't write about it on chol moed. Mishnah says if there was some onus or you didn't have time to write the shtar before Chol Moed, it is permissible even to write it on Chol Moed, which is a significant leniency which Arukh HaShulchan perhaps does not hold of. The brackets here, but it's not helpful if we don't know what the Taz and Magen Avraham are speaking about. So let's go down to Yud Ches. Anything which you're allowed to write. I feel below shini mutar. You can write even without a shini. Chol mashu also lichtov. Anything you're not allowed to write. Also lichtov feel they you're not allowed to write even with a shini. Hakan l'shono. Vayim b'shini akumus of akimus ashitos. So he means whether you're changing how you hold the pen or you're writing the lines on a slant. Avashini ba'osios atzmon mutar. The change in the letters themselves is permissible. In other words, he holds that Beis Yosef holds the shinui in the holding of the pen, or the shinui in the way you threw it on the page is insufficient. Doesn't work. But if you change the way the letters themselves look, that would be permissible. Mishabur gives examples, such as may made the letters broken or cut in the middle. And Yud, which is difficult to cut or break in the middle, you make it like a little round circle. Okay, Shulchan says in our writing with the script, meaning the script, it passes. Don't even need this. On wax tablets, you can write even though because it's not a writing which is going to be sustained, which of course would be even though Shulchan writes immediately, it's in Lakers a cloud. We don't have this type of thing. We do have computer screens, which are similar to wax tablets. But it's possible that writing on these tablets is not, even with ink, is not writing at all because it's a weak writing and it's without order. I'm not sure what that means by that. Also by people who have commercial endeavors who write things down just to as a not they write notations in order to jog their memory or in order as a memorandum. Obviously, people don't write that with a glorious script. And it's also written in script. The low beseder yafeh, and it's not with a nice arrangement. Efshir shemutza, perhaps it's minute v'chein noagu. That is permissible. Now you test lishol sheila b'din torasenu, to ask a shaila in halacha sabar Torah. Sheep tshuva, the issue responsive. Mutter, it's permissible. Mitzvah l'chayva, it's a mitzvah and an obligation. We spoke about this, I think, before already. There's no greater loss than not committing divrei Torah to writing. Also, the chidushim mutter mitzvah lichtov chamoid. It's mutter and it's a mitzvah to write in b'chol hamoed. If you don't write down, you can forget. And it's literally saying what you're going to lose. Also, if you write down these chidushim, you'll be able to have different chidushim, more chidushim. And you can't say they're going to leave after Yontif. After Yontif, there'll be different chidushim. It's a very nice one. It's from the Taz. The Bach wrote his works on Chol HaMoed according to the Taz. His son-in-law, who would know better. Who would know better than the Taz? And he says Bach wrote his Chibur Chol HaMoed. So to be here a chiddush from somebody else, it's not your own, but you're from somebody else's. Shmak chiddush. You can write down Kadesh Lo Yishkach in order not to forget. Came wrote a sefer Mechudash B'Ksav. Also, if you saw a new book, a new sefer, and back then, of course, you didn't just photocopy stuff. You had to copy stuff. You can allow to copy it. I think if you're not going to have it after Yontif to copy it. Also allowed to copy a question and answer from some other sefer or some other letter or something. All is called Davar Ovid. Mishabur writes that you should be careful, nevertheless, when you write chidushim, that you should write them in script. If you have to write in block print, you should write the letter in a broken form. Arukh HaShulchan does not seem to make such a distinction. Anything you're allowed to write, you're allowed to fix the pen. So it's and make ink in tzolkach if you need to. You got the paper. Anything you need to do for writing. Mishnah says Rabbah is not sure if you're allowed to make lines in the paper for the purpose of writing, and the Leka Kemach forbids it, except for Sifrei Torah Tefillim Mezuzos, where you need to do so. I will also talking kunshus lichtov la'achar hamoed. You now have to fix a notebook in order to write on it after Chol HaMoed, after Yontif. Shei Sabbat Yochol Asas HaMoed. Do it after Yontif. Ach im yichtov bo ma'at b'Chol HaMoed. But you're going to write a little bit in that kunshus before during Chol HaMoed. Mutar talking kol kunshus. You can fix the entire notebook. Chol ma'ashe eino mesukon kulo eino lichtov gam zamat. Kol zman she'eino mesukon kulo. As long as you don't fix it as a notebook, you can't even write in it that little amount. You can adjudicate cases on Chol HaMoed, painting mamas between nefashos or makos, whether it's monetary law or capital law or even flogging. You can punish somebody who is not obeying the directives of a beis din, or even not coming to beis din. You're also allowed to complain about your loans on Chol HaMoed, I guess, to the beis din. But the beis din does not compel the litigant to come to beis din during Chol HaMoed. If the litigant himself is unwilling to do so, they push the court date out after Yontif. So the two litigants wanted to adjudicate in Chol HaMoed, they can, but otherwise we don't demand of them to come on Chol HaMoed. Tavkuf Mem Vav, Din Erusim Nisum Chol HaMoed. The laws of engagement and marriage on Chol HaMoed. Mishnah. Chol HaMoed taught us in the Mishnah. You can't marry women on Chol HaMoed. Lo besulos, not the first time around. Lo amonos, no widows. Lo miyami, also don't do yibum. Neshe simcha lo, because it's a simcha, which and then ma'avrin simcha simcha. You can't mix the simcha of the another simcha with the simcha of Yom. Well, actually, he's going to say, why am I saying it? But Avamasu Kushaso, but he can return his divorcee. First, the Gemara gives 4 reasons. One of them is what I was about to just start to say. You don't mix one simcha with another simcha. That's why it says in the rationale, because it's a simcha for him. Klomar, the marriage is a simcha in of itself. Ain't bar as well. You can't mix it with the simcha of Yontif. Moshe ain't no say mitzvahs chavilos, just like you can't do mitzvahs in packages. The ba'ina sheli will play the mitzvah achas. You have to have your heart dedicated to one mitzvah. Come okay, and so too. Ba'ina sheli will panu simcha achas. You have to have your heart empty to be dedicated to one simcha at a time. You have to let me call the Shlomo, learn from a pasuk, but it says by Shlomo HaMelech, Shagam Rabbeinu Beis Hamikdash, when he completed Beis Hamikdash, V'asah Shibas Yom in Simcha, he made 7 days of rejoicing. Lo Asam B'Chag Sukkos. He made them on Sukkos. You see, Vayash Shlomo Chulei Asachag Chulei Shasivin Shibas Yomim. He made the Simcha after Sukkos. Ushami Yoiflim Yaakov Rachel. Ushami learns that from Yaakov and Rachel. After that, he said after Yaakov married Leah. So Lavan said, "Malesh was those finish the sheva brachas for Leah, and then then you get racha." After the Shabbat, so program Malchim boy lemel Avelo Shivas Yomi Miyakov. When he was Yerushalmi in Moikot wants to learn of that Avelo 7 days from Yaakov Avinu. To see what it says, Vayas Loaviv Abel Shosim Yosef made for his father a Yaakov Avelo 7 days. Park there the Gemara asks, "Chila made him davar mikoyim Mount Torah and Sham." You learn something from before Mount Torah to after Mount Torah. Echlo made kamikar Mount Torah. So how can we learn from here from Yaakov Rachel, Yaakov Leah and Rachel, which is before Mount Torah? Really, Lachi Perusha. Arukh HaShulchan says this is the pshat. The Vade made him mikoyim Mount Torah. We still learn things from before Mount Torah. Come the Rosh Hashanah made him say bracious. There's several drushes from bracious. El the Bisham Bakoch El made him, but there. From Yosef and Yaakov, we can't learn why. Because it wasn't according to the parameters of Avelus. Shadayin has a kodim akvucha. It was before the Yaakov was buried. But here we can learn out from the episode of the marriages of Leah and Rachel. It says the brackets Vayin Tessim Mekod L'Chav the Muras Kamat Vayin Pnei Moshe Shnitachab Gazeh V'Duk. The Pnei Moshe difficulty, and the Arukh HaShulchan is resolving it. Base. Vainly show you can't ask. If he times according to this reason, you'll learn less or gam shisha yomim koydim regularly soisha. Oh, let's ask her getting married for the 6 days before Yontif. Or make sure that the 7 days of Shabbat are over before Yontif. Like Shlomo made his the Chanukah's Beis 7 days before Yontif. I said before after Yontif. I'm sorry, made a mistake. Actually, that there's a whole Chazal. They didn't fast that year on Yom Kippur. So it was the 7 days before Sukkot. The Eino Deino Dim, it's not comparable. The Chanukah's Beis Hamikdash, the Simchas Klal Yisrael, Simchas Gdoila. Chanukah's Beis when the Beis Hamikdash was inaugurated, it was a tremendous Simcha of Klal Yisrael. Simchas Gdoila, but you smechim b'chol yom kiyom rishon every day where they were happy like the first day. Hashem Simchas Chassan, supposed to Simcha of a Chassan, Eino Yikol v'yom HaChuppah B'vad. The real Simcha is the first day. You'll see like it says, B'Torah v'gomer b'yom chasun asov yom Simchas Libo. Pasuk in Pashir Hashem says the day of the chasna is the day of the simcha of his heart. So the chasna coming out of his chuppah. Shmami no the ikar simcha have a rak b'yom chuppah. Primary simcha is only a day of the chuppah. If you get a rak regular asur, that's why it's only also to make the chuppah on the yontif. Of a regular mutter, but it be on erev yontif it's mutter because came certainly before that. It says brackets came gemara daf tes. The ikar simcha chad yom. The primary simcha is 1 day. The second reason, you should rejoice in your holiday, not your wife. And they learn out because this chagecha is a superfluous word because we're talking about Yontif. Drasha to v'lo b'ishtecha, so because the drasha not your wife. Taisa evidently there says it's an absolute drasha and it's not just a simple asmachta. This is what it means to say. If you get married or Chol you're near Simchas Arel going to forsake the Simcha of Yontif. The ask of Simchas Isha are going to be involved in Simcha of your wife. That's why Tana says Simcha for him. Come soon Simcha Lo, the marriage is the Simcha. If you're near Simchas Arel going to forsake the Simcha of Yontif, the ask of and be involved in the Simcha of marriage. So it's difficult to distinguish between the first reason, Simcha and this one, Samach V'Chager V'Lo Yishtecha. The third reason given is to Midnei Torah because of the efforts which are required. The Mishnah Shel Nisuin Torah. To make a chasna requires a tremendous amount of effort. It's not appropriate to put that effort on Chol Hamoed, not for the purpose of Chol Hamoed. But that which says because it's a simcha. Okay, but it doesn't mean to say she'assumes simcha lo, because marriage is a great simcha for him. They got a simcha because of the extended simcha is a mishnah gadol. You make a great party. Via lo tircha yosim, now you're gonna have too much tircha, so therefore you can't do a chamoy. The fourth reason mishum bitul pir v'rivya, because you're not going to have children as early as you could. If people get married on Chol Hamoed, so of course everybody be pragmatic and put up their chasna until Yontif to make one a mishnah for both Yontif and for the chasna. It says simcha lo, because simcha you umasha simcha simcha zrego. So you're going to put it off till Yontif. They should tell the solution, so the solution will work. Could work for both. Therefore we told you no, you don't get married on Chol Hamoed. It's obvious that even if he wants to get married without making festivities, also it's forbidden. All the first three reasons are relevant even without a meal, except for the last reason of effort, to the exertion and effort. Marriage even without a suda is forbidden. Getting married has a simcha gam below suda, even there is no meal. As opposed to getting engaged. Zveshnim said because ksuvas the mutar below suda, now which we seem to find in ksuvas that bim zayin. That's when to get married if there's no suda. Lovely is suin mamish. It's not about actual marriage. Elina dini suin. So it's not about a chasna. It's about where technically they're married without a chasna. Kigon such as bainu, sorry. Not so romantic. A case of a father giving over his daughter to the emissaries of the husband, to bring her to the marriage, or the hands of the husband himself. Bring her to the marriage. From that point on, she already has some of the laws of being fully married, such as that her handiwork belongs to her husband, and the object she finds belongs to her husband. Then it's not no longer belongs to the father but to her husband. That giving over you can do on Shabbos and Yontif. We're not talking about the actual simcha of the chuppah. He brings down brackets here to Miyani. I'm not going to have difficulty with this, but it's clear. It's clear that this is the pshat. Hey, to get engaged is mutar chamoy. Maybe somebody else is going to marry her. Now, here Erusin it means that could mean the kiddushin, as we show, but not just shiduchim. And that's it's understood that back then kiddushin and suin were done separately, 12 months apart. So even the kiddushin could be done on Chol Hamoed. It's not such a big simcha because he's not taking her home. And as long as the arus does not make in his arusa's house at the time of erusin a big meal. I guess it means that it shouldn't make the kiddushin and the suin juxtaposed to each other. No, that's not what he says. Evidently, I think it meant Mishnah Berurah here. Mishnah Berurah says that what's also is to make the erusin within the meal or the meal immediately after the erusin. But if you're making the erusin and sometime afterwards you're making the meal, that could be permissible. Even if it's on the same day. And some are maching this, but when you make the erusin on this day and the next day, you certainly can remake them. Okay, so that means that means you shouldn't make the act of the kiddush with the ring and the meal for that erusin on the same day, or you should put it off on a different day, and then you can do the erusin and the sudas erusin both during Chol Hamoed. And you can make dancing and and revelry. And to make the, so to speak, bachelor's party of the Orus with his friends. Shalom Beis was also not in the house of the Arusa. And also for the Orus to have a meal with in the house of the Arusa, not at the point in time they actually get engaged, is mutter. There's only simcha when the suda is together with Erisin Kamim Viyavamas. Okay? That was all back then. By us, we only make the Erisin at the time of the chuppah. There is a sheet before that, an occasion, which we have. Question on somebody kishrei tonight, which is called by, it's still by the Hasidim and others. They make the tanoim at the time they make the shidduch. Most of the Litvaks and non-Hasidim don't do that. Or Rashi Prokim, so then you don't have formal tanoim, you have some sort of agreement. Mutar says Chalmite, do that, you're allowed to Chalmite. Those who answer that have a suda at the time of the tanoim, just like you're not have a suda at the time of the Eresin. It's not the answer to Eresin. Osho says it's not comparable. Because for Eresin, Shanasa Ishto, it comes his wife. Rashem tanoim is supposed to the time and a klum. It's nothing. It's an agreement that if any side backs out, they get fined. Should come punish this battling of tanoim, and several times the tanoim doesn't go through, and they don't get married. It's only like a friendly meal, and therefore it'd be mutzah cholamoid. Shubra writes that many achronim know the way, but if he says regardless, I guess, if you're not making a real suda, but just having some cake and soda, like chaim we call it today, so definitely you don't have to be machmir. Back in brackets here, that which was has references, Mila and Pina Ben, and I remember it's because Abraham says no, there's only simcha by marriage. And therefore those would be okay. That we brought evidence from a case where they wrote out the Tnoim, but that was a case where they got married immediately afterwards. And certainly that which you wrote that the first meal after the Tnoim, which is together with the Kalas also, Yosem, what's more astonishing, came with Tnoim Kodem Arego. So about where the Tnoim were 40 on them. So there already is a gap. And Sharatin also writes in that case is absolute. If the engagement is foreign, then they make a suda. Absolute suda is permitted. Full suda is permitted in Chomoy. But the suda mikra Hashem zani gamacherim. Also, this first meal with the kala is very difficult to call a suda because not called suda unless other people are present at the same time. So from all this comes out that certainly if they got engaged and then have l'chaim, which is just mere kachas, it's okay. And they got engaged and they make a vote on another day, which is normally the case, so that would also be mutter shul as well.